Welcome all you future educators, current educators, and lifelong learners to another video where we take technology, teaching strategies, and emerging trends to create engaging educational experiences. In a previous video, Sharon was busy creating a screencast to cover some of the new content that would be found on her company's software update. After showing a mock-up of her screencast video to her boss, it was recommended that although the screencast could serve as the main element of the video, more needed to be added throughout the video to polish it up and make it look more engaging. Images, real video, and sound were all things that needed to be added to liven up the video. Sharon sat down to begin working on it, but then she quickly felt overwhelmed. What was originally a straightforward click through the software type demonstration has now expanded into something that has her pulling different files from all over the place. She just can't keep it straight. Well, take a breath, Sharon, and let us show you some ways to wrap your mind around the bigger picture and get this project back on track. To help manage a larger media project, we will want to use a process called storyboarding. Generally speaking, storyboarding is the process of us getting our larger idea broken down into smaller pieces, usually scenes, and getting them down onto paper. Once the smaller segments are on paper, we can start working through what media and other assets we need to complete the scene. By the end, we have a map of what the project should look like and a checklist of most of the items that we need. Now, in a previous video, we had mentioned that gathering as many of the assets needed for a project before you start editing will save you time in the long run, so having this checklist built is huge. Two things to note. One, not every project needs to have a storyboard. For smaller projects or straightforward videos like Sharon's original screen capture, you can probably keep track of most of it in your head. After all, there aren't a lot of media assets you're trying to pull together for that one video. Two, there are a million ways to storyboard, so find one that works for you and use that in the future. We will show you how we go through the process, but there are tons of other ways, from print and drawing like we do to digital software like Storyboarder. Go with whatever works for you. Now, when preparing a larger multimedia project, the first thing that we do is write a script. This way, even if we don't write it verbatim, we have a general idea of how everything will flow in the overall lesson. As with any kind of story, your lesson should have an introduction, a main body, and a conclusion. Now, the intro may be nothing more than here's what we're going to cover today and what we hope you'll get out of it. It could also be story driven, but regardless, don't forget an intro, main content, and conclusion section. Now, once we have a script written down, it's time for us to move into the storyboarding itself. We have to think of chunks that we can break the video down into. In movies and entertainment, the switch of a scene or a camera shot can serve as a new chunk. For our training and educational videos, that may be the same case, but we can also think of when we do a transition to something like a screencast, or when a new major point pops up. There's no real science behind it, it's more of a gut thing, but one way or the other you need to break your video down into these scenes. I will say that when we write the script out, we tend to write ours out in a paragraph form, and most new paragraphs seem to fit pretty nicely with a scene break. Step 3. Once you know your scenes, you can go ahead and start getting rudimentary drawings of what the scene will look like onto paper. There are digital programs out there to do this, but I personally still like the feel of paper and pencil, so I tend to print out blank PowerPoint slides, 3 to a page, where it has the notes section on it. This prints out a box on the left and an area for me to write on the right. I'll number my scenes in the script and number them on the PowerPoint printouts. Then I'll put just enough of the script text in the writing area so that I can coordinate up my scenes with the actual script itself. From there, I start doodling out my scene so that it makes sense to me, since I'm the one that's going to be building it. As I get new media assets in my doodle, I jot them down in the space over on the side so that I can start building out my list of assets that I have to go find. Now, let me emphasize that these drawings are very, very simple. This is not an art project. It's just something that's going to give me a reference later when I've taken a break from the project and I come back. Step 4 is time to compile the final list of media assets and then go out there and find them. When all is said and done and I begin compiling that project in the editor, I have my script, which is my map, and I have all those media assets ready to go so that I can stay on track and get that project done as quickly as possible. Now, an alternative method of storyboarding we've used frequently in the past on shorter videos with a lot of assets in it is to write the script and then print it out double spaced. Then in the spaces between the lines, we can jot down verbal notes that pretty much tell us what we want to do and what media we need to go grab. As a new piece of media pops up, we create a list on another sheet of paper or in the margins or something like that. Again, this method seems to work okay for us on shorter videos and videos that are in a sequence and look like previous videos that we've done because we can verbally reference what we've done in the past. Trying to verbally explain a new technique or a new clip that you want to try could be really difficult in a small amount of space. So in those cases, doing a true storyboard like with the PowerPoint method may work better. Now I know some of you might be thinking, man, this storyboarding seems like overkill. I should just jump in there and edit. That may work for some people in some projects, but as the old adage says, a minute of planning saves you about 10 minutes of execution. Thinking through the process on a storyboard can easily save you that time in the long run. Additionally, if you're working with a client, you can usually walk them through the storyboard to see if they agree with continuing to produce the video or if they want to make some kind of change at that point. Changing the story on a storyboard is way more time effective and cost effective than having to edit out an entire real video that you've already created. Storyboarding on larger and more complicated projects, it's just worth it. So Sharon, we'd recommend using a storyboard to help you get the video back on track and under control. Now it may seem a bit much and it may seem pointless since you're not actually producing a video to look at, but that small time investment could pay off huge dividends in this case. So that's our process on storyboarding, but as we mentioned, there's tons of them out there. So do you guys storyboard? And if so, what type of videos do you storyboard on? If you do storyboard, do you do it by hand or do you use a different process? Do you use a software that's easy to learn and still works well? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. That way we can all try to find that storyboarding process that works best for us. Now also, if you like content like this, where we talk about enhancing your classes using technology and teaching strategies, be sure to hit that subscribe button as we try to get new content out there to help you guys make those educational experiences just a little bit better. In the meantime, good luck, keep building, and we look forward to seeing what you guys create.